Have you ever felt like the world is moving too fast? Like everyone around you is shouting, demanding your attention, pulling you in 1,000 directions? And in the chaos, you've forgotten the most important person, yourself. Today, we're going to talk about something profound, something timeless. It's not about chasing success, pleasing others, or proving your worth. It's about you, your peace, your growth, your silence in a noisy world. Billy Graham, a man who inspired millions, once said, "The greatest form of strength is not in what you say, but in what you choose not to say." Silence isn't weakness. It's power. It's clarity. It's the space where you rediscover who you are. So, if you've been feeling lost, overwhelmed, or undervalued, this is your sign. It's time to step back, to focus on yourself, to embrace the silence. Because in that silence, you'll find the strength to rise above the noise, to become the person you were always meant to be. Let's begin with a simple truth. The world will never stop demanding your attention. It will never stop asking for your time, your energy, your focus. But here's the question. Are you giving yourself the same attention? Are you taking the time to listen to your own heart, your own dreams, your own needs? Too often, we pour ourselves into others, into their expectations, their opinions, their approval. And in the process, we lose sight of who we are. We forget that our worth isn't determined by what others think of us. It's determined by what we think of ourselves. Billy Graham once said, "The greatest battle you will ever fight is the battle to be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you something else." And he was right. The world will try to shape you, mold you, change you, but you have a choice. You can choose to focus on yourself, to stay silent in the face of distraction, to build the life you were meant to live. Now, focusing on yourself doesn't mean shutting out the world entirely. It doesn't mean becoming selfish or indifferent. It means creating boundaries. It means knowing when to say no. It means understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. Think about it, how much of your day is spent reacting to others, to notifications, to messages, to demands. How much of your energy is spent trying to keep up with a world that never stops moving? Now imagine what your life could be like if you took just 10 minutes a day to sit in silence, to breathe, to reflect, to reconnect with yourself. That silence isn't empty. It's full of potential, full of clarity, full of peace. Billy Graham said, "Silence is the best response to a fool, but silence is also the best response to a noisy world. It's your shield, your sanctuary, your strength." Let's talk about silence, not the kind of silence that comes from fear or insecurity, but the kind of silence that comes from confidence, from knowing who you are and what you stand for. Silence is powerful. It's in the silence that you hear your own voice. It's in the silence that you find your own answers. It's in the silence that you discover your own strength. Billy Graham once shared a story about a man who was constantly seeking validation from others. He would go from person to person asking for their approval, their advice, their opinions. And one day, someone said to him, "Why are you asking everyone else what you should do? Why don't you ask yourself?" That's the power of silence. It's the space where you stop looking outward and start looking inward. It's the space where you stop seeking answers from others and start finding them within yourself. Well, focusing on yourself and staying silent isn't easy. It takes courage. It takes discipline. It takes a willingness to step away from the noise and embrace the unknown. But here's the thing, when you focus on yourself, you start to see things differently. You start to see your own potential, your own worth, your own purpose. Billy Graham said, "The most important journey you will ever take is the journey to yourself." And he was right, because when you focus on yourself, you're not just improving your life, you're transforming it. So take the time to focus on yourself, to stay silent, to listen to your own heart. Because in that silence, you'll find everything you've been searching for. Let's take a moment to talk about self-awareness. Focusing on yourself begins with understanding who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, your dreams, and your fears. It's about looking in the mirror and asking yourself the hard questions. What do I truly want? What am I afraid of? What's holding me back? Billy Graham once said, the first step to finding yourself is to be honest with yourself. And that honesty can be uncomfortable. It can be painful, but it's also liberating. Because when you face the truth about who you are, you open the door to who you can become. Take a moment today to write down your thoughts, to reflect on your life, to ask yourself those hard questions. Because the answers you find will guide you toward a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's talk about stillness. In a world that never stops moving, stillness is a rare and precious gift. It's in the stillness that you find clarity. It's in the stillness that you find peace. It's in the stillness that you find yourself. Billy Graham often spoke about the importance of stillness. He said, you can't hear God's voice in the storm. You hear it in the silence. And while this may have been a spiritual message, it's also a universal truth. You can't hear your own voice in the chaos. You hear it in the silence. So take the time to be still, to breathe, to listen, whether it's through meditation, prayer, or simply sitting. Billy Graham once said, the greatest waste of time is not in doing nothing, but in doing something that doesn't matter. And he was right. Life is too short to spend it on things that don't align with your purpose. So ask yourself, what matters to me? What am I passionate about? What legacy do I want to leave behind? Take the time to invest in yourself, to learn, to grow, to create. Because when you focus on your passions, you're not just building a life, you're building a legacy. Now, focusing on yourself doesn't mean ignoring others. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When you focus on yourself, you become the best version of yourself. And when you're the best version of yourself, you're able to give more to others. Billy Graham said, the greatest gift you can give to others is the gift of your best self. And he was right, because when you're at peace with yourself, you radiate that peace too. When you're fulfilled, you inspire others to find their own fulfillment. So focus on yourself, not just for your own sake, but for the sake of those around you. Because when you grow, you lift others up with you. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to leave you with one final thought. Focusing on yourself and staying silent isn't just a practice, it's a way of life. It's a commitment to your own growth, your own peace, your own happiness. Billy Graham once said, the greatest journey you will ever take is the journey to yourself. And he was right, because when you focus on yourself, you're not just improving your life, you're transforming it. So take the time to focus on yourself, to stay silent, to listen to your own heart, because in that silence, you'll find everything you've been searching for. Remember, the world will always be noisy. It will always be demanding, but you have a choice. You can choose to focus on yourself, to stay silent, to build the life you were meant to live. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Together, let's continue this journey toward growth, peace, and purpose. Until next time, stay focused, stay silent, and stay true to yourself.